We'll be back from the break. You're still watching Smart Men's Business, your daily Kickstarter, as we're still driving your business in so many perspectives. Well, before we get into our insight, don't forget the markets on the Zabo platform, which have already opened. The *292# is the USSD code, which will lead you there, where you can buy government bonds and securities for just as little as 15,000. But you can choose to invest more, depending on what you feel like. But you can invest more than that. But 15 is just the minimum requirement, just to make your life easy and not to find hard times to buy government bonds and securities. Now the market's open. That is at 8:15 till 3:15 p.m., 8:15 a.m., 3:15 p.m., effective Monday to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays when you can't access these markets, of course. But you have the rest of the days to really capitalize and make quite some huge profits there. Zabu has just made this a reality. I don't see an excuse as why you're not owning government bonds now. Zabu says, my money, my future, and all Texas Africa says, simply just do something new for yourself. Now heading straight into our discussion this morning. Of course, in the business side, we shall be looking at the tourism, but we need to understand certain concepts here. We shall be looking at inclusive tourism, and we shall be looking down here still to the tourism business in general. Joram, yes, this is very interesting, and I know you were able to get in touch with these people, and I see the aspect of inclusive tourism. A viewer probably, they are thinking, what does it mean by inclusive tourism?
Well, there is a new campaign. When you talk about inclusive tourism, it's simply a term that ideally, where the catchword is inclusive, including stakeholders or including any other person. It is just to include other people into the bigger picture. Okay. And the bigger picture on the plate now is tourism. So there is a new campaign coming up, and the campaign is called Travel for All. A campaign that is spearheaded by the Conde Villa. These guys are into, they're actually into tours and travel. And then also they intend to attract the ministries, Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of, not only Ministry of Tourism though, they want to look at the persons with disability. Now, when you mentioned Travel for All, just 2 years back, there was, of course, a discussion on how much Ugandans or persons with disabilities are engaging in such sectors like tourism, like very minimal. Okay. And when you look at countries like in the West, most of the governments apparently also invest in such trips for the persons with disabilities to be able to go and travel. We have persons with disabilities who come from abroad to tour these game parks in Uganda, for example. But it's very rare for us to ever find someone with disabilities traveling domestically. Okay. Not because they do not want, but because when someone has persons with disabilities at times are normally isolated in some of these.
There's a perception which we have towards them.
So no, not even just a perception, but ideally we tend to neglect.
Underlook them.
Not underlooking. Underlooking is far of a harsh word.
Harsh word, okay.
Not underlooking, but I think we neglect.
We neglect. Okay.
We neglect the fact that they need to be in such spaces, and then we tend to cut them off in these conversations. So the campaign, when you look at Travel for All, is mainly targeting everyone, especially the persons with disability, that they need to also get into this space, travel like the rest of the Ugandans, explore Uganda, because now the entire idea is about exploring Uganda. Because I believe if you, for example, have a brother of yours or a cousin or let's say any related person or a friend who has who is actually disabled. Either way they lost the arm or they were born like that, they cannot walk properly, but they want to go out to the game parks or to any tour destination. You have to always realize that at times you may not actually think about them if you to register people you're going to go with. Because first of all, you think they may not give you, it will be maybe hectic for you to have
attention, because they need attention.
Because they deserve special attention, which is not true at times, because most of them tend to look after themselves.
Actually, they can.
But because when you look at it becomes a little bit more costly for you, especially when you're going to, let's say, hiking in the mountains. You'll always have to have someone who is going to be helping you out as you hike together with them. But now the Travel for All campaign is mainly pushing the agenda of inviting these persons that this space is also available for you. People. You can actually be active stakeholders by touring, or to even start up a tour company themselves and be part of it. Because if we are to push for equality within the entire country, or if we are to push for equality besides the level of the things that we are doing, you will have to realize that we have to engage everyone, every person, in such discussions.
Now, I could be thinking, you know, some people would say, are they going to be favored in terms of pricing, subsidization? I mean, as one of the ways, probably, you know, that's one of the ways that I think can be essential to even boost them. Like, okay, let's go. It's been made a little available.
Well, when you look at this is the travel. First of all, the campaign is a free will. Free charge, by the way, for the persons with disabilities. Okay. A special target for those who are very, because the campaign is actually targeting people who are really into, people who are so enthusiastic about travel and are travel addicts, people who love traveling. But this time around, to also encourage the others who have not traveled Uganda to at least join the queue. And when you look at this, for example, Uganda's tourism industry, some figures. In 2018, there was 1.5 million foreign visitors.
2018.
And when you look at some of them, out of the 1.5 million, there were some who are actually persons with disabilities. There was a special group that came ideally with disabilities, and they were actually pushing because they still have love for adventure. And so we also want to encourage the other stakeholders. And in Uganda, by the way, most of the tour operators here, especially those who rotate around domestic tourism, have not thought about it that much in regards to
encouraging them to tour domestically within the country.
Especially bringing persons with disabilities on board. Most of them haven't thought about this as much because the local tourism operators are mainly focusing on the profits. There are those that are also focused on making sure that local tourism is affordable for all. But then also you need to create room for the person with disabilities. And in Uganda, we've not included these persons in promotion of tourism by the local things. And in the insight, by the way, here in our first business insight of the day, you get to realize we do have Honorable Mugole Stephen. He's a member of parliament from Kabweri County. And he's also someone who is actively into tourism. Because he's a travel addict as a person. So those are people who are stakeholders still. You can rate them as a stakeholder. And he actually says he actually underscores the fact that Uganda hasn't been able to ideally focus on persons with disabilities into tourism. And he believes this is a good cause. Now, on the other hand, the Minister of State for Tourism, that is Martin Mugara, believes that for years they've actually been engaging them, persons with disabilities, in two different initiatives of tourism, like the Go Green, the Uganda Go Green, and stuff. But he says they will continue adding them onto the context. And so now for the Kodavila Tours and Travel, for them they believe that this is going to push for the involvement of persons with disabilities, and it's not a profit-generating scheme, but rather giving back to the community.
Wow, very interesting. And I guess with those words, now let's get into this discussion. We shall be returning for further related discussions.
Is an initiative, or it's a movement aimed at helping, or not basically helping, but we are improving lives of people living with disabilities. The fact that we're a travel company, we decided this time around to take people living with disability for a trip. In most cases, many companies have never thought about this. So as a part of giving back to the community, we decided to do this.
Having one of the major tenets of tourism is art and craft. And I can assure you the disabled people are the best at this. In doing sculpture, in doing all those arts and crafts, and it would improve. I suppose that government should have taken this as a niche in the tourism sector. And it would be also like a tourism attraction, where you find a group of disabled people displaying their art and crafts and even the culture. I think that's the area. I don't know where you have got it from, but it's something we should think about. And whereas we have just finalized our museum and monuments bill, which involves cultural heritage, I think this is another area under the regulations that would import that idea and put it in the regulations, that in order to inculcate a culture of working among the disabled people in tourism, this is the area where they excel and can do best and should be facilitated to do so.
People with disabilities, we've worked with them on a few campaigns. I remember there's a time we even launched, if you look at the Go Green campaigns, where we've been partnering with a number of partners, we've been including the disabled or the people with special abilities. So it is not true that we are maybe sidelining them in one or the other. For us, what we want the most is to create awareness for conservation across the tourism sector, across all players. And that's why we have campaigns that we support. The Miss Tourism, to create awareness and support, not only for disabled people alone, but all minority communities and people that have maybe limited access to support in one way or the other. So it's not true that we are maybe sidelining them. We support them where need be. And we are even working on projects that are specific to the disabled communities in terms of promoting tourism. Very soon, you'll see a number of projects coming up. But we are working with them, and we are happy to have them as ambassadors talking about the tourism sector and conservation going forward.
Of this whole project or program or movement is basically to reach to any person with disability who has ever dreamed of being out there, of reaching Queen Elizabeth, or any person with living with disability who has ever thought of traveling but they don't have access to maybe vehicles, these places, these destinations. So we're giving them a chance to be out there. Yes, definitely. We're reaching out to each and every organization out there, single-minded organizations, individual organizations, government organizations. They should really come up on this, because I think this is a very, very huge opportunity for people with disabilities, and I think it gives them a broader way of also experiencing the country and having the happiness and living their lives just like any other Ugandan or any other citizen. It's not a profit movement. It's not profitable at all, because we have Kondevilla Tours and Travel. It's a single-minded company, but we have loan agency, we have Forex Academy, we have gadgets. So all those businesses, we cannot aim at looking at this smaller project to gain profits from it. No, it's not like that. So we just decided to give back to the community. We're not looking at profits. That's where we're looking for. Each and any company that's willing to participate in this, they are free to come and work with us with open hands.
Inclusive tourism. I think any person with disabilities right there now, there is a chance for you. Just in case you're not feeling worthy, probably feeling a little bit neglected regarding that, this is a time for you to really pick up, and it will be quite very essential. And with time, of course, I believe there will be a fee, since it's free now. But now, just to show them that actually they also need attention regarding tourism. Now we're heading straight to our tourism business discussion now. Tourism business. You know, before even we go into anything, you know, I saw something today in the press, Western Uganda, Chisoro Kabale Road, I think. Yes, where the water really has cut the road. And now I'm trying to imagine an area which is quite, you know, I always look into these things, Jerome, what I call the core factors before we talk about these surfaces, we're trying to build this, but how have we established the foundation of that? If we say, we cannot say that we're in serious tourism business if the routes that are leading to the potential tourist areas are just splitting apart.
When you look at tourism, I think the transportation works both ways. And first is the destinations. Like you've mentioned. We need to have these routes at high, I don't know if I can use a word like
high maintenance
levels, and the standards have to be high, top notch, I should say. Because once a traveler is coming, obviously we do know tour sites are not so favorable for transport, obviously, because there are those that are
so isolated,
so isolated deep, and you cannot, and obviously adventure, for any tourist you would still want muddy roads for you to feel the adventure, because even the type of vehicle you use for tourism, you won't carry a small car. You will definitely need a Land Rover,
those huge
four-wheel drive vehicles that go
SUVs,
that go deep down there. So, or even in the mountainous areas. So, but then still the access roads
that lead to those areas.
Exactly. We are not actually calling in for tarmac roads and things, but
of course,
the access roads to these destinations need to be at least more favorable and at least
perfect,
quite wide enough to at least have someone pass through. There are those who actually are all bushy, and it's your vehicle that is supposed to create a path for you once you're going there. And then also there was an issue in regards to electricity or access to power in those areas, especially southwestern Uganda. When we talk about southwestern Uganda, I want us to believe that Uganda's tourism sector is wide. But there's a beauty about Western Uganda when it comes to Uganda's tourism. Something beautiful about that side, because there are lots of tour sites, natural tour sites. Look at Eastern Uganda, for example. Eastern and Northern Uganda. Though Northern Uganda has got isolated sites. But once you're moving into Western Uganda, the mountains, the game parks, the hot springs, you know, there's a lot, and there are quite a number of lodges there. So I think in the tourism business, some of the things that are still affecting the sector, or those actively playing in the tourism business, is one, access to power, the access roads, power. Yes, and then the fact that not many Ugandans, because in one of the tourism players that we are yet to see here is actually revealing that the challenge also is most of the Ugandans aren't so much interested in tourism. Okay, they are interested in touring, but they seem not to know that tourism is a bit expensive for them. Okay. That you have to afford, you know, it is affordable, but again, Ugandans want to pay less. Because you may expect someone to take you to a trip for 3 days, and you find someone wants to pay only 300,000.
3-day trip.
And it becomes really hard for the tour operator or the tour company to take. First of all, transport. Entrance fees is normally the cheapest, but remember you have to afford movement and everything. And
the operator
of
has
course,
to service
according to some of the tour operators, and of course those who have tour companies, there is less return on investment really
on tourism,
on local tourism.
On local tourism.
Okay. Yes. So they make more money from
foreign tourists,
because the dollars, you expect someone to pay in dollars, they do the bookings in time because they know what they want. But the Ugandans, you have to first of all bargain a lot with them, and it's a bit stressing.
Or they feel entitled that we are in Uganda, so we should, that entitlement.
Exactly.
And you see, once this kicks in and the tour operators, the people in the business are discouraged, that is affecting the sector, by the way, in the long run. You know, what if later on they scale down in terms of productivity? So Ugandans out there, we need to really, I think, embrace this, and also, however much we are into the country, but we need to know that this person is also doing business, and you know, these are areas which are quite, people are paying huge amounts of dollars to come and see that place that you're bargaining for. I don't think they even bargain, you know, coming. First of all, they have to buy air tickets to come to the country, you know, and so many other associated costs, you know, for their survival into the country. Just to go into those areas, we are bargaining for to go and take a look at the tourist attraction. Animals, could be animals or anything. Well, now 22 minutes past 9. Let's get into this discussion, the tourism business.
My name is Asega Warid, the manager of Konde Villa Tours and Travel. People that want to do tourism or that want to know about tourism, we do tours around Kampala and any other place. So we do air ticketing, visas, and camping tents. We have camping tents. We look at hiring and a lot of things. Tourism business edimu ebintu bingi. Ebisookerwako bibirimu like okutambuza abantu eyo. Naye abantu b'otambuza ogenda batuukizaawa, ogenda bakolera ki? Kye tuyita itinerary. You draft an itinerary for the client, ebeera travel plan. So you give the client the travel plan, then client inakuwa ki? Feedback. But all you want to penetrate the market, mostly you should have your own what? Cottages in different places, which is still a challenge with us. But for those that we've managed to get, tubatambuza mu bifo ebyenjawulo nga Fort Portal, Chidepo and other places. Ugandans who want to travel, they don't want to invest in the money. Yes. For example, you may put up a trip, for instance, for 200,000. A person will come and tell you, Maninze, I can't afford that money. Just 200,000 and this almost 3 days trip. Yes, for instance, I organized a trip to Kalangala. That is when the company had just started. Naye, the turn-up wasn't that good. Just it was 350,000, but the turn-up wasn't good. So Ugandans are not so good at what? At tourism. Most Ugandans are not good at tourism, but for the people abroad, they are good at it. The tourism business is so competitive in a way that there is client poaching. For instance, if at all you don't have your own cars and you hire from someone, that person may not be in a situation of giving you his own car for self-drive. You understand? So, in other words, when he gives the drivers to your clients, the driver is going to be sweet-talking your clients. At the end of the day, those clients won't come back to you. Social media marketing, it depends on the people that are doing it for you. As you know, the trend has changed. Everything is what? Online. Yes, so if at all the person comes online and sees the business you're doing is good, or he has not seen it anywhere, then he will come into you using the social media platform.
Business there, and of course the different related challenges that the two operators face. You know, Joram, I was thinking, looking at, I know, because for us in Uganda, we may not be really minding about the scenery, because we've been to some of these areas, and some people have actually, whenever they're going to their home villages, they pass by some of these tourist attraction sites. So you see, they don't feel that value of saying, why should I pay?
Okay.
To go to my home area.
To go. I think it takes us back to what you said, entitlement of a sort. That first of all, I come from Jinja, and you making me pay for a trip to Jinja is you're trying to cheat me. To cheat me. Obviously, when it comes to growing up from your area, it is fine. You've grown up from your area, and you don't blame anyone for that. People will tell you, I can't pay to go to Kisoro because that is my home area. I've grown up from Kisoro. Yes, you've grown up from Kisoro. Have you been to these tour sites? Because when you look at some of the surprising part, by the way, is that interest at the Maction Falls Game Park, for example, is 20,000.
20,000 interest.
20,000 Ugandan shillings.
It's not actually a lot.
How many Ugandans know that? Few.
It's not a lot of money.
So it's not a lot of money. When you look at the hot springs in Sempire, interest for a student is 1,500 shillings. 1,500.
What about an adult?
An adult is 15,000 Ugandan shillings.
That's fair.
So it is more like they just use at 10%. An adult is 15,000 Ugandan shillings. A foreign tourist is $20.
$20, that's about 75.
So when you're looking at the kind of situation, it's actually $20 to 50 rather.
$20 to $50.
$20 to $50, if I'm to remember well, from what one of the tour guides was revealing at the Sempire, that is around River Semeliki and stuff. You get to realize that for domestic tourism, the government has made it really, really affordable. And how they charge you, a local tourist in Uganda, is different from how they charge a foreigner. And it's so common in Africa. Why? Because you have to make local tourism affordable for the people who are in your country. so that they don't start playing the blame cards and blame games. So, Andrew, you may have grown up from Kampala and any of us, but there are places in Kampala that you know less about.
Yeah, but that's very true.
And you may have grown up from a tour site at your home area, but you've never entered inside, so you know nothing about it. You only see people moving in. Your mind never tells you what is inside there. And if you come to think of it, like I did mention, that the most expensive part about tourism in Uganda is maybe the transportation. And also access to where you're going to sleep the other side. But moving into a game park, the game parks, just moving in fees per day, not more than 50,000. Most of the game parks in Uganda. Why? It's because they want to make it really affordable for the Ugandans.
Okay.
Because it is Uganda. Because the government has budgets for these game for these game parks, the Uganda Wildlife Authority. But obviously, we still need to get more money from the tourists who come through as well. But the only expensive one is maybe the cottages and the transport. Maybe the costly ones.
Some viewer may not know what cottages are. Maybe you could shed some light for them.
No, a cottage is simply where you're going to sleep. It may be a cottage, it may be a camping tent. You can actually go with your camping tents, by the way.
Yeah.
And they give you a gazetted area where you can camp. Or you can actually sleep in the lodges that are available that side. You know, I've seen Ugandans who are actually paying only 1 million to travel and visit Kigali. Just 1 million Ugandan shillings to visit Kigali. There are those who pay 3 million Ugandan shillings off to, let's say, Nairobi, Mombasa via bus.
Yeah.
And 10 million Ugandan shillings or even less Ugandans travel to Zanzibar. That is depending if you have someone the other side.
Okay.
So why then is it difficult for you to tour in Uganda here if you can have your 3 million Ugandan shillings and it's very affordable for you to tour through Uganda. And go to some beautiful places? There are people who are setting up lodges in the country and beautiful tour sites.
And actually, you may be surprised that how beautiful these places look like. And wow, if you've never now like Mountain Range Ori there, it's very, very attractive in a way. Maybe in just 30 seconds, I would suggest probably even some of these tour operators should find ways to make it attractive. Okay, making it affordable may be, but also to make it attractive to give these people a reason to come and spend their money.
The foreign tourists are coming in, and it doesn't need to be so attractive when you have the social. If you have the love.
One thing I know about Ugandans, it's not even about affordability. If they want something, they will go for it.
Exactly.
Go for it. Well, it's 29 minutes past 9. Still driving your business here on SMB. And now let's get into a short break. We shall be returning to wrap the show up with the weekly SMB Weekly Topic Roundup.